I'm scared to say it, but we got concrete stuff related to the Steam Deck too. Then I want to talk about how much performance actually matters on the Steam Deck. And finally, Valve just shipped a new beta feature that's honestly pretty cool. How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is Deck Ready, my channel all about the Steam Deck. It is warm here in Michigan. I am excited. I'm doing stuff outside again. It was a great weekend. I played some golf at X Golf with my cousins. I've got the new PGA game. I've been so many hours sinking into that game. It is awesome. So I hope you're having a great day as well and you're playing a ton of video games. But I know everyone is going to be upset. We got to talk about the Steam Deck 2. I've actually been super careful to not link things erroneously to the Steam Deck 2. I've actually debunked a lot of stories doing that where it's like, oh, the Asus Z2 is coming out. It's going to power the Steam Deck. And like, obviously that's not the case. But this actually seems like it is related to the Steam Deck 2 because we got some specs for a new chip that AMD is working on called the Aerith 2. And that is going to be relevant to Steam Deck users because the AMD chip that runs the Steam Deck is the Aerith. So if there's an Aerith 2, yeah, I guess it could be used by the Fremont consoles TV interface thing that they're working on. But if they're calling it the 2, that implies that it's the sequel to the Aerith, which means that it's probably going to power the Steam Deck 2. You guys know I hate talking about specs, but it looks like it's getting a big spec increase across the board. And if it's going into production now, it looks like 2026 could be the year of the Steam Deck 2. Now, this shouldn't really surprise or upset anyone because last year when all these rumors came out that there was going to be a Steam Deck 2, Valve would come out and say that it was a couple of years away at minimum. So a couple of years from 2024 is 2026. And that looks like it's going to be when the Steam Deck 2 releases. It looks like they're in active development on this chip. And I don't know the specs, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty big increase in power over the Steam Deck, but it's going to be formatted to run at around 20 watts of TDP. So it meets the criteria of making sure that you get a generational leap in performance. All the numbers line up with that, but it's not going to sacrifice battery life from the current Steam Deck. So it does meet that criteria that Valve said they were waiting for, which makes it mean that we're probably getting a Steam Deck 2 next year. And I didn't think it would happen this quick, but I honestly think it is a good time for a Steam Deck 2. We are actually getting next gen games now. Like there have been plenty. I know Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 runs pretty well on the Steam Deck, but outside of that, we've had stuff like Monster Hunter Wilds that just won't run on the Steam Deck. Rise of the Ronin just won't run on the Steam Deck. There are plenty of other games I can mention that just won't run on the Steam Deck. And I know you can go to Nexus and get a mod that lowers the settings to be lower than their low settings in the actual game. And then technically you can get like 28 to 30 FPS, or you can use frame gen at 15 FPS and get 30 FPS. That looks terrible, but that is not the standard that I think the Steam Deck should be going for. I think the Steam Deck should be going for a baseline 30 FPS. And if you get 40 or 60, that's gravy, right? Like if you run the game at its lowest settings and get 40 to 60 FPS, that's good for you. But like I want a game that runs around medium high and gets a locked 30 FPS. And it looks like that's what we're going to get out of this chip. Like I feel like it'll be able to run games like Monster Hunter Wilds or Rise of the Ronin just comfortably fine. And the cool thing is, it's not like they stopped supporting the Steam Deck. We've seen examples and evidence of this. When the Steam Deck OLED came out, people were nervous that they were going to stop supporting the LCD, and that has just not been the case. The LCD gets updates in tandem with the Steam Deck OLED, and you get a marginally better performance metric out of the Steam Deck OLED, but if you're still rocking that launch Steam Deck, you're getting largely the exact same performance experience out of the game, and I think that's good because, you know, I don't want there to be a split, right? Like Nintendo did that with the Switch and the Switch OLED, where you do get a little bit better battery life, you do get a little bit better performance, like maybe 1 to 2 FPS out of the thing, but it's not going to be so different that you feel like you need to go out and upgrade. I'd argue that, you know, the OLED screen is reason enough to upgrade from the LCD, which is, you know, believable, I think, because I was a big evangelist of the LCD screen in the Steam Deck not really being as bad as people made it out to be. But once I saw the OLED screen, I was like, damn, this is worth upgrading to for sure. So it looks like Valve's hardware future going forward is going to be a TV console, the original Steam Deck and the Steam Deck 2. And that's good because as we've seen with Microsoft doing things like making you log into your Xbox account on Forza Horizon 5 on the PlayStation 5, PlayStation making you log into your PlayStation account on their PC game releases, the big metric going forward is monthly active users. Like the money's good, that's the most important metric, but the one everyone from Nintendo to Sony to Microsoft to Valve is going to be focusing on is how many people they have playing concurrently. And it looks like Valve is going forward in a cool way with that. I did a big video on it basically saying, look, they hit 40 million active of users, and that's good, but they need to get serious about making new hardware. And it looks like what I predicted is coming true. It looks like we're going to have a console style TV box, and we're also going to have a Steam Deck 2, and we're going to have the Steam Deck LCD and OLED all being played out in the wild. I don't see that as anything but a win, honestly. Like, if they do what they've been doing going forward, no one really has any reason to be upset or nervous. It's honestly just weird to me sometimes, like, don't kill me for this, but like, it's weird to see people get so upset about hearing about a Steam Deck 2 because PC graphics cards upgrade so much faster than consoles do. Like, when you get a PS5, you can expect to have that thing for 7 to 8 years, maybe even 10, depending on the generation. But if you keep up with the newest graphics cards, you're buying one like every 3 to 4 years, I want to say. Like, the upgrade path is so much faster with PC, and I don't see why that can't apply to Steam Deck. Like, I don't want it to be every 2 years or anything like that, but we just passed year 3 of the Steam Deck, and next year would make it year 5 if we get one at the end of the year. Like, 5 years out of a PC console is like good. And if they're going to get the big generational leap in performance while also keeping battery life out of it, I say go for it, because we'll probably get a Steam Deck 2 Plus a couple of years after, just like we did this generation, and it'll be a refinement of what they do with the original Steam Deck 2. So I know people don't like hearing about this, but it's happening. AMD is working on an Aerith 2 chip, and whether that's going to power a TV box or a Steam Deck 2, I think it's going to power both. I really think if they're putting a 2 after it, that means it's for the Steam Deck 2, and I'm not going to feel bad about being excited about it. I want games like Monster Hunter Wilds on the go. I like playing games like Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Rise on the go, and if we need new hardware to keep up with that, we need new hardware. It's just the fact of the matter. Like, I know you can theoretically run Monster Hunter Wilds on the go, but it's not a good experience. That brings me to the second news story, though, which is an article I read on Forbes kind of making the point that the verification system doesn't matter, and there's like a fatal flaw in the whole argument. Like, hello, welcome to 3 years ago. We've known that the verification system doesn't matter because that check mark doesn't mean anything. There are plenty of unsupported games that are being played on the Steam Deck all the time, and everyone's having a good experience. The verification system doesn't mean the game will run. It means it meets a weird set of criteria that Valve met, and we've seen games that meet it, like The Last of Us Part 1, that effectively don't run on the Steam Deck. Like, you can start them and play them, but the experience is so bad that it's just not worth it. So yeah, the whole point of the article is dumb in my opinion, but what it's actually saying is, like, the Switch is in a similar situation to the Steam Deck, where we would get ports of games that don't even run at 30 FPS. Like, they can hit 30 FPS, but most of the time you're in the 20 to 25 range, and people get excited. They call them impossible ports. Games like Doom, Doom Eternal, Wolfenstein, Wolfenstein 2, you know, these big games from other platforms that make their way over, and it's just cool to have them at all on the Switch. They sell well because people like taking those games on the go, and they point to games like Monster Hunter Wilds, where you get this potato preset from Nexus Mods, or Starfield, where you get a potato preset from Nexus Mods, and it can run effectively around 30 FPS, but like, it really shouldn't be. And yeah, I know there's people out there who do that, because every time I talk about FSR3 FrameGen being a bad example of how to run games on the Steam Deck, people say it looks fine, and we all know that the metric of run smooth on the Steam Deck subreddit is like hitting 40 FPS once in a while, running the game at its lowest possible setting and saying it looks fine. Like, it doesn't look fine. It may look good to you, but like, to anyone who goes for decent performance or just solid performance of keeping that frame time graph flat, it's not good enough, right? So when it comes to the question of does performance matter on the Steam Deck, yes, it does. It really matters for getting it out there to more people. That's going to be the thing that pushes people towards a Steam Deck over something like the Switch 2 or Sony's eventual PS5 handheld. They're going to say, I'm going to get the best performance presets on the Steam Deck. That's going to make people want that. I think paying for better performance is fine. Like, I see the novelty in a thing that shouldn't be able to run a game running a game, but when it comes to actually sitting down and playing it and not just booting it up for a quick 5-minute video where you show the specs and the game running at like 20 to 30 FPS, I think you're going to not play that game, or you're going to look to your better PC or your PS5 for the good experience out of that game. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I do think it's important for Valve to keep up with games in terms of hardware. I understand the situation sucks because a lot of devs are relying on frame gen and upscalers like DLSS, like Monster Hunter Wilds. Even if you throw a 4090 at it, it gives you a 3-menu warning every time you boot up the game saying, are you sure you don't want to use frame gen? Which should never be the case, but that's the world we're in. So Valve's hand is kind of forced to keep up with that with better hardware. And that makes me glad, going back to the first story, that they are working on a Steam Deck too, because I know people got scared with the Lenovo Legion Go S and the ROG Ally and Ally X getting SteamOS because they could just abandon hardware as a whole. I'm glad they're not doing that because I like first party support in hardware and software. I like tying everything together with Steam as the unifying factor in between all these different things. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, speaking of Valve continuing to add features into SteamOS, there's a new beta out which makes downloading demos a lot easier. I saved this for the end because it's so small, but I guess up until now, you've been able to go to your account purchases, like your game library on a browser, and tell your Steam Deck to download games from there. I know you can do that with like a regular PC running Windows, but I didn't know you could actually do it with the Steam Deck. I don't know how well that would work though, because like the Steam Deck would have to be on and connected to the internet. It can't really do anything in rest mode. So like you're basically preloading your decision. So like if you have a game installed and you want to delete it, you can set it to delete from the internet. And then the next time you turn on your Steam Deck, it'll automate that process. Or if you wanted to download a game, you can tell it to download it the next time you turn on your Steam Deck. That's cool. You haven't been able to do that with demos though, up until recently. They just made it so that you can also do that with demos now. You can tell them to install or delete them remotely from the internet. Just a cool feature. I don't know who was asking for it, but it's nice to see everything unified, whether it's a full game or a demo. Again, going back to the first story, if they're running out of features to include in the Steam Deck, that is the right time to start working on the Steam Deck too. It's just weird. Like, I'm not going to talk about rumors where like the Z2 powering the Steam Deck is never going to happen, so I'm not going to talk about it. But if there's a legitimate news story like the Aerith 2 kind of coming out and AMD confirming that they're working on it, which is what happened, that's worth talking about, right? Like, I know people aren't super interested right now because the Steam Deck has life in it, but the more games that come out like Monster Hunter Wilds that just don't run right on the Steam Deck, the more people are going to start looking towards the Steam Deck too. And I'm interested in talking about it because I'm interested in the future of this platform. I want it to continue. I don't want it to be the Steam Deck 1 comes out and that's it. I want Valve to continue going forward because they built a great platform to build on, so they should build on it, guys. Like, that's just it. So yeah, when it comes to this stuff, just relax. If you're enjoying your Steam Deck, keep enjoying your Steam Deck. Even when the Steam Deck 2 comes out, if you feel fine playing on the Steam Deck, keep playing on the Steam Deck. And then when you feel like you should upgrade when the OLED model comes out or the Steam Deck 2.5, upgrade then. No one's forcing you to be there day one. And if you feel like you have to be there day one, investigate that. Like, try to just enjoy what you have and also look forward to the future at the same time. It's possible because I'm doing it. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in this news update. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and shape on.